so many things. So many things are being normalized that are not normal. But it was good to see, I don't know, 7 million people, is that what they're saying? 7 million people out this weekend on Saturday at the No Kings protest. And I linked a very important video by a resistance historian, Tad Stormer, below, where he talks about you got to have your protest have meaning. Some people, it's just an outlet to voice their frustration, and that's awesome that they would participate. But the protest doesn't end when you go home. And Tad Stormer does a much better job than I can describing it. That's why I linked his video down below. But I think this is a good life lesson. That's also why I linked his video down below. Because the protest doesn't end on Saturday. The No Kings movement isn't just showing up, holding a sign. It's more than that. It's saying we're expecting more out of the country that we live in. It's saying we understand that America has all basically legalized corruption, that it's pay to play, that for every dollar means you get your vote is heavily weighted compared to a person's vote, that America is bought and paid for by the highest bidder. You got a jet, we'll give you an Air Force base on American soil. But that doesn't have to be the way. I want to just remind you that I understand the country's like 200 something years old. Not even close to as old as some other countries. But America is still young. Not as young as most of us. Not as young as a boomer. But just because you were born into this country doesn't mean you have to accept the ways it was. I mean, think back, if you know a little bit about your history, back to when people used to work 7 days a week. If we said, oh, we're pushing for a 3-day week, they would go, what? Well, they would probably freak out about the technology and wonder why we're working at all if we have AI. But my point being that at some point, people were working 7 days a week and they fought for change. We can fight for change. And that's where the No Kings protest turns into a collaborative effort, a community, organized opposition. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, join this community to say, we're fucking done with this, man. No more co-pays at the doctor. No more profit in healthcare. No more deny, defend, depose, or whatever that triple D saying is in our healthcare industry. Our healthcare industry has a deny the claim, defend it in court, and depose them in court. That's their motto, to keep profits over people. We don't have to accept that. We can reject that wholeheartedly, and we're going to get into Donald Trump demolishing the White House. I think it's the East Wing. We'll get to that, and how the company tearing it down, which I would really like to know if he has ties to the company that he chose to tear down the White House. He's well known for not paying his contractors, for not paying people that work for him. So I wonder if this is like, tied in, and it's definitely done with tax money. And we're going to get to that. Also, did you see, I don't know who made this Time magazine, but this should have been the Time magazine. Watch out for the neck nussy, guys. That is like an OnlyFans. Mr. Epstein is trying to creep his fingers around there. Well, actually, it's a little too old of a neck nussy for him. But we can reject... Where's my thing? Here it is. We can reject the normalization of corruption, money in politics, profit over people as a healthcare system. That's what No Kings should have as a more focused meaning. Yes, we don't want kings. Since the inception of America, it's like that was the whole point. That was the whole revolution. The whole declaration of independence was independence from a king, a tyrannical one that, you know, cut us off from trade with the rest of the world, like tariffs. One that put a standing army in times of peace, like the National Guard. A king that was tyrannical and taxed us without representation. I would just say spending our tax money without representation. Or how 40 billion to Argentina. How much money went to, this White House demolition? How much is he giving to SpaceX and Elon Musk, a 500 billionaire? I'm pretty sure a 500 billionaire doesn't need it. I'd rather go to a single mom so she can ensure that her kids are not food insecure. A term that only America could create. Food insecure. That means your kids are hungry, but they wanted it to sound nice for the middle of the country white women who, can afford a home. Everyone in New Jersey, New York knows he doesn't pay. Yeah, Dan. Well, my family, a lot of my family was in New York and New Jersey, so we knew of Donald Trump way before he was the loser from The Apprentice, way before he was, and the people that are just going to be maggots, MAGATAS, you could just leave. This ain't for you. We're building a community here. Hit subscribe at the notification bell. We are building an organized opposition to not just Donald Trump, but this F-word establishment. Because I've said this before. Let me finish. But Dan, yes, 100%, Dan. Everybody knows. Anybody that's been in... Why do you think Donald Trump doesn't live in New York, his home state? If you forgot, he's a coastal elite, a Nepo baby raised with a golden spoon right up his butt. He's one of them rich dudes that all these Midwesterners hated the coastal elites until he faked like he was one of them. But really, he's a rich brat from New York who can't even win his own home state of New York. He lost it in all the elections. And he had to move to Florida and become a Florida man. Well, because, he's got to make that orange makeup look like it's a real tan. But, he's basically like a... What is it, GTL? He's like a Jersey Shore guy if they were really out of shape and smelled like diarrhea. It's so weird. These people are like, looks like winning. Really? You think this dude looks like winning? You might need to go... Well, I know the ophthalmologist. Is that the glasses people? I know it's like hard in America to go see an eye doctor. But if you think this neck nussy looks like winning, you might just save up your money and afford to go see an eye doctor. But the rest of us are going to fight for you to not have to pay to go see an eye doctor. We're going to tax Elon Musk, tax Jeff Bezos. We're going to tax Donald Trump's shitcoin, meme coin, so hard that they're not going to be billionaires anymore. They're going to have to manage to live off $100 million, $999 million. They're going to have to manage. Can they handle it? Oh, poor little snowflakes. They can't live on $999 million. They have to have $1 billion or their ego is hurt. We're going to tax them. And why do I say that? Because we, the people, have the power. I know they normalized corruption. They normalized you thinking this is just how it is and that's how it's always been. But I hate that shit. If you think to yourself, oh, this is how it is and this is how it always will be, guess what? The revolution never would have happened. America would have never happened. The civil rights movement would have never happened. Women's suffrage never would have happened. Workers' rights, the weekend, you name it, never would have happened. You like toasters? Never would have happened. Somebody would have said, bread has always been cold and that's the way it is. And some other dude was like, I just want my butter fucking melted. How do I get that to happen? And boom, the toaster was created. That's a loose interpretation. I'm sure ChatGPT will tell you. Well, it takes your job and drinks your water and raises your electricity bills. But my point here, folks, is we can do all this. We can do all this. We can do all this. And all you naysayers, I know you Donald Trump people, Epstein's best friend supporter, the guys that would love to lick his neck nussy, and say, tastes great, sir. Tastes great. Tastes like Fromunda cheese. I know you Donald Trump people just want, daddy, which you refer to him as, just to tell you it's going to be okay, even when the world's collapsing around you, and you don't care that he's on Epstein's list, which he's all over. He had to have teams of FBI agents stop fighting crime. The law and order people. They had to take the FBI off of crime so they could black his name out of the Epstein files. I understand you guys lack creativity. Back in the 1700s, you would have been redcoats. You would have been Benedict Arnold traders. You would have said, guys, we should just really listen to the king. So I don't want to hear what you have to say. I don't. Keep on scrolling or swiping or whatever you do. I don't give a get out of here. Go watch Steven Crowder. He'll make you feel like a big boy. But for the rest of us, this is stuff that we need to be focused on. Overturning Citizens United. There was a ballot measure in Maine that was fighting back against that. We need to replicate that, duplicate it, and make it go throughout the nation. I will figure out how, and I will send it to your state. We can have a collaborative effort, all 50 states, plus Puerto Rico and DC, give them statehood both, and we're going to overturn city. We're going to get money out of politics. I'm tired of Jeff Bezos and Tim Apple. Remember when your smart leader called Tim Cook Tim Apple? Because he's, got the mind of a fifth grader. He's a fucking moron. But we're going to overturn Citizens United. I'm sick of seeing these corporate overlords gifting Donald Trump some golden thing in the now gold office. We're going to get to the White House being demolished. I'm just so sick of seeing these wealthy people give a little spoiled brat a gift so they could get away with whatever they want in America. If they want corporations to run amok, okay, go somewhere else. Go to a different country. America's going to get taken back for the people. And I've seen all these MAGAs having the bumper stickers, "Take America Back." From who, you morons? America is made up of immigrants, okay? This is stolen land made up of immigrants. Who are you taking it back from? The poor people? Really? Because we've had control since the 70s? Give me a fucking break, man. You guys are so stupid you put a bumper sticker on your car to show off how dumb you are. And I'm tired of it, man. You know who owns this country and who has owned this country? The people like Donald Trump. He's a rich brat. His dad, Fred, built an empire off corruption and racism and handed it to his spoiled-ass son. Well, meanwhile, his son had bone spurs only during Vietnam. And now his son is demolishing the White House, the East Wing or something, doing AI videos of him pooping out of a jet all over America. Like, it's not even clever or funny AI. It's like fifth grade mentality AI. And you guys are supporting the biggest, if you guys believe in the Illuminati, just let me clue you into something. This is one of the wealthiest dudes in the world who mysteriously, shuffled loose this mortal coil while his best friend was on the list. And you guys are like, where are you? Yes, sir, may I have another? Thank you. I trust the government. The government told me they'd release the list, said they had the list on their desk, and then said the list doesn't exist. You fucking dummies. You goddamn dummies. But we, the people, just go visit Europe. Go backpack through Europe for a little bit and ask all of them how much medical debt they have. Go ask a European how much medical debt they have. Ask them if they know anybody's grandparents who lost their house because their grandfather got cancer, Ask them about that. We can 100% have universal health care. We don't in America because all you guys are sitting on your fucking hands acting like, oh, well, this is how it is, and this is how it always will be, and there's just nothing. No. Was that dude who was buying up all the HMOs and turned American healthcare system into what it is, profit over people, where they're using AI to deny the claims your doctor is saying are medically necessary for you? And then they're releasing statements like we read here on the live stream. Hit subscribe and the notification bell if you'd like to join the community and be organized opposition to not only these red turds, but the blue ones too. Bernie's an independent. Graham Plattner is the only Democrat I kind of care about. Because he's saying the right things. The enemy is the oligarchy. You know, if I had my computer, I'd play that clip for you. But if we vote all blue tomorrow, they're not going to give us universal health care. We, the people, have to demand that. And you saw 7 million of us standing strong this weekend saying, we're done with this king BS. Well, some fat turd in the White House who's all over Epstein's list is like, I'm going to tweet me with a crown on, you know? What a spoiled brat. I bet his daddy bought him a crown when he was little and said, you're my little man who I will never hug, and you'll live your life showing people that. Let me just remind you, if you're a Trump supporter, I wish I could play the clip where he said, smart people don't like me. He called you dumb, and he's Epstein's best friend. So you don't need to brag about you know, supporting Pedo Pan and being an idiot. I don't want to hear it. But we can do all this stuff. We, the people. Get rid of gerrymandering, fairness doctrine in all media, cap congressional salaries, tax billionaires out of existence into extinction, tax megachurches, raise the minimum wage. $66 an hour is what it should be with greedflation if it kept up. Did you see the report out of Canada? Inflation jumps 2.4% in September. Now listen, when they say that, that doesn't mean the prices went up 2.4%. That's how much inflation is rising. That's the rate it's rising. It's misleading, and it's done like that on purpose. And this is all happening while the Arkansas soy boy farmers are losing their farms, even though they voted to have their farms stolen by rich people. I still have compassion because Jesus tells me to love my neighbor and love my enemy and love my God. So even though those morons, remember, Donald Trump said, smart people don't like me. That only leaves stupid people, and stupid people like him. As point in case, go to Arkansas or type in Arkansas farmers and watch them crying about Donald Trump, you said you loved us. One guy said into a mic, he said, we need to see the fruits of your love. He doesn't care about you. I know he said he loves you, but he also said stuff like I'd release the Epstein files. He also said stuff like I've never doodled in my life. I don't draw. And then we saw the birthday card that Ghislaine Maxwell's family or people released. So he says a lot of stuff, you know. In fact, I don't know. If you really believe everything he says, and he says smart people don't like me, he called you stupid. He also said, I don't like you, I just need your vote. You know, this dude says a lot of stuff. Some of it creepy. Look at the stuff he said about his daughter. I still think somebody needs to check Donald Trump's phone for AI videos of him hooking up with his daughter, that pervo. But while Arkansas soy boy farmers are losing their homes, this dude's using our tax money to demolition the White House. Demolish. I think it's the East Wing. I don't know. But it's hilarious because, again, not with our consent. That's the people's house. And they're getting 1-star reviews. People saying, destroying the people's house with no regard for their permission. 1-star review. Deplorable act no matter the reason. Dozens of people who gave the Maryland headquartered demolition contractor, what is that? Akeko LLC, 1-star reviews in the first hour. I wonder if Akeko or Aceco, I don't know. I wonder if that's like a shell company. I got to look into it. I didn't get to look into it yet, but I just seen some of the videos of them demolishing the people's house, and I thought, after Donald Trump, you know, I just want you to think, if Joe Brandon or if Obama made an AI video of him pooping out of a jet all over America, Barack Hussein, you people, and I do mean you people, you guys would be having a conniption. You know, you'd be screaming communism or something. I don't know. You'd scream pretty stupid stuff, but you know, you'd be turning red in the face and say, this is anti-American. He's pooping on me. We'd say, you know, in Russia, Donald Trump, I think, had to pay a lot of money for that. Anyways, but just like if Obama, you know, was demolishing the White House, you guys would be having a conniption. And the reason I'm upset is because he's using taxpayer money while the government shut down, and Arkansas farmers are losing their farms right now. Again, the Arkansas soy boy farmers, that voted for this. They voted for this to happen. But because I believe Jesus Christ walked on water for my sins, I'm told to love those people and have compassion for them. You know, not the ruling class. Remember, the one time Jesus got really irate in the Bible, besides the "oh, woe to those hypocrite religious leaders," the authority at the time, but he didn't like when the capitalists were making his father's house into a den of thieves. So I got to follow in Jesus's footsteps, and these capitalists are really making America a den of thieves. But I just want you to remember, while he's demolishing the White House, kids are going hungry. Soy boy farmers in Arkansas are losing their farms to the rich, because that's who's going to buy it all up. We can make more and better in this country. Did you know that? Look at this. Jump scare. Christ, lady. What is with everybody who works for Donald Trump needing to look like they have saran wrap on their face? You know? Like, do you think that's a natural rouge, or do you think maybe it's Maybelline? By the way, the reason I say we can do all this stuff is because, you know, Japan created a drug that naturally lets humans regrow their teeth. That's what happens when you invest in science and your communities, and you fund things, and you don't go, you believe in scientists? God, you should think for yourself. And it's like, well, usually, you know, scientists dedicate their life to that stuff, so you usually try to, you know, I don't know, maybe those people don't go see a doctor. They're like, you go to a doctor, you should really think for yourself. Fucking morons. So again, I want to encourage you, because there were 7 million people out there. We're going to crack 10,000 here on this channel. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Guys, I understand you love Pedo Pan. You love Epstein's best friend. Get the fuck out of here. Go. We don't want obedient, wannabe fascists, okay? That's not what this community is. This community is fighting to make tomorrow better in America. I'm sick of people talking about work harder, work longer, work more jobs. No, one job, 3 days a week, healthcare paid for by the corporations and the billionaires. And if they don't like it, they can get the fuck out of America. Go on. Get out. That's the only minority ruining America. And how come ICE hasn't gotten Elon Musk? He's an illegal immigrant. He's South African. And his brother admitted they were illegal immigrants. So all those obedient little fascists that are just like, Epstein Files is cool with me now, man, or whatever you guys are saying, don't care. Don't care. Go leave a comment with Ben Shapiro or something, you know. I don't care that you love how much America sucks now. You know, secret police, National Guard in the streets, trade cut off with everyone, picking fights with Mexico and Canada. It's like, what kind of insecure little tyrant is running this shit? Creating a ballroom? Oh, is that like MAGA's thing now? They love ballrooms? The only ballroom I thought you guys would like was the one in Epstein Island, but okay. Okay. These fucking idiots. Illegal is illegal. You shut your face, dude. No one's illegal in stolen land. Just shut up. Just shut up. You guys are idiots. Adam loves the ballroom. They're all like, sir, we'd love to come to your ballroom. Yes, Donald. Make a ballroom. Did you see this? This is who you support. J.D. Vance of the Army. I've been asked many times, why did I want to run and become vice president? I wanted to serve Donald Trump. That's what you guys want to do. All the people that keep saying, like, we love you, sir. We love you, Peter Pan. You could do no wrong. That's what you're saying. When you're like, no. Profit over people in healthcare, that's a real manly thing, you know? Let the AI decide if a disabled kid needs a wheelchair. That's a manly thing. All you kids who get your direction from Joe Rogan because your parents probably left you in the woods when you were 20. we're going to make decisions without you. That's what's going to happen. Wanted to serve Donald Trump. That's all what you guys want to do, is serve Donald Trump. Not, and someone pointed out, not to serve the American people. That's all these people want to do, is they want to serve. They're all chomping at the bit to see who can get close enough to his butthole. That's all these people are doing, you know? You can see, if you did get close enough, you could smell them. You know, you can smell the brown on their nose. But we're tired of it, you know? What do you have to say to farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than them? Look, Argentina is fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about that. You understand what that means? They're dying. How do you feel, soy boy farmers? The ones that were saying, we're going to lose our livelihood, our farms, we're going to be homeless, you know? Well, Donald Trump's fighting for his fascist libertarian friend in Argentina. It's unreal, the amount of suffering these people have put upon themselves. All for a guy who is all over the Epstein files. I mean, he doodled a girl of an uncertain age on a birthday card for Epstein and wrote the most perverted poem I think I've read ever. He should have sent that into like Penthouse or something. He could have probably got it published. If Obama had torn down sections of the White House, started a national gun registry, oh yeah, he did that too, and deployed troops in American cities, they would be calling it a full-blown civil war, you know? That's all it is. Tim Pool wants to call it a civil war, but it's his fascist daddy that's doing it, so he can't. Did you see this? Pardoned by the Party of Law and Order. Alert, the pardoned Capitol rioter charged with threatening to Hakeem Jeffries at NYC event this week. So all these people that have pardoned, I've seen too many stories. But it's funny in the first place when they say stuff like, we're the Party of Law and Order. Is that why you elected a felon who's in the Epstein files? Is that why? Is this like a comedic? Is this a satirical, you're the Party of Law and Order? Because I don't get it. I don't get it, man. Did you see Cash App Patel? His full name is Cash App. It's amazing that he was stupid enough to think like, oh, the MAGA cult really is going to celebrate Diwali. But these people are just, you know, they're racist, most of them. It's very simple. This is a very simple thing. But these are the things that we got to do. We got to push for it. Push for it. I don't have my audio board here today. So I can't play some of the clips. But we got some great clips that I want to play for you. Neo Sandy, I don't know how they can say the Party of Law and Order with the straight face. Well, they say a lot of stuff. Like they say, you know, we want the Epstein files released, and then they say stuff like, I trust my friends in the government. They say stuff like Trump is a man, or that they're alphas, or, you know, they say all these things, and they think they're saying it like seriously, but they're deeply unserious people. You know, if you listen to Joe Rogan, who, by the way, his real vitamin supplements are called Alpha Brain or Alpha Pill, like that's hilarious. It's almost like out of a movie, you know, it's like one of the, remember the Scary Movie parody movies where they would just parody everything, and I think the Wayans brothers were always in them. It's almost like Joe Rogan's podcast is like a parody of real life, because I mean, you would at least think to call it something besides like Alpha Brain or Alpha Pills or Alpha Supplement. But he literally called it that. And these people probably have them on their counter where they take it and they feel more alpha, even though it's like ground up shiitake mushrooms. They got to pay $60 to make sure Joe Rogan can poison himself with elk liver or whatever he does. I don't know. I love the people who are like, you're just a troll. Yeah. Want to codify women's right to choose. That's a real troll move. You guys are so stupid. Really, like, it makes me want higher education to be free in America. I'll tell you what, MAGA, you've never made me value education so much. Watching some of you guys walk around from day to day and hear you in my comments all the time, it's really hilarious to witness you guys, you know, like all last year. Epstein files this, Dan Vagina that, Cash App Patel, like these guys that lead the FBI, their whole podcast, they grifted you guys out of millions of your dollars, all on we're gonna release the Epstein files. And this year, not a peep. In fact, most of you were, when Donald Trump said, I don't doodle, most of you were like, he doesn't. He's never doodled in his life. Oh, man. And you guys have really made me just profoundly appreciate education and really want, you know, to not only bolster it, but make the education. That's the other thing we really need to redo in this country, is like make reading comprehension, propaganda comprehension, all this stuff. Like, we need to make this a class. And you can't graduate. Like, before my kids are allowed to graduate, they have to listen to George Carlin. And it's just one of my personal parental requirements, is they have to understand George Carlin's discography and his bits on homelessness and golf courses and all that stuff. Hey, what's up, Alma? Good to see you. Yeah, see, there's people like Brian who are like, Brian totally supports PDF files, you know? He's like, we're not releasing those files. We're going to risk messing up what he's doing. Brian, probably a racist, you know? He's like, the Supreme Court legalized them racially profiling. And there's just a-holes in America, you know, that they don't want a woman's right to choose. They love money in politics. Well, it's going to come for them. That's a sad thing that they don't realize. They think, oh, me being a white guy protects me. But once everybody else is out of the way, oh, they're going to come for you. You ain't one of them. That's another reason why my kids have to listen to George Carlin, because he explains it's a big club and you ain't in it. It's just some of the saddest stuff I've seen. So many simps for a guy in the Epstein files. A guy with a neck nussy. I mean, if you guys want to pretend you're like a manly bunch, if you guys want to pretend like you're the alpha squad, don't put on orange makeup and have a neck nussy. Real simple. Well, keep it simple, you know. If you're going to pretend, now I don't give a shit, you know. I think if you really want to know, manliness is defined by, you know, the stuff that Jesus said. Your ability to love your neighbor, ask for forgiveness, say you're sorry. But this is what you guys think of Jesus. Hold on, let me find it. Let me find it. Let me find it. Come on. Hold on. Hold on, you little fart knockers. Bunch of squid beaks. Cool it. You cool it now. Cool it now. Ooh, watch out before you lose control. You gotta cool it now. Christ, what is it? Amazon down again? I didn't know all of America ran off of Amazon Web Services. Nobody can have internet unless you're on Amazon. Where is my thing? Where be my thing? Where be my thing? What, where be my thing? Where is it? My God. I can't find my Jesus quote. Anyways, if you read the Bible, you know that Jesus said the greatest two commandments, love your God and love your neighbor unselfishly as you would yourself. And I think that's like the manliest thing you could do, is have compassion. And some of you are confused because you think, this is funny, you think this dude is manly. Like a rich kid who grew up with a gold toilet and just a total brat, you know? Had servants and chefs, you know, absolute coastal elite. Like, you don't get more coastal elite than New York coastal elite. And some of you totally are like, oh yeah, that silver spoon Nepo baby, he's the man, man. He's the man. You're like, I wonder if you guys wear orange makeup too. Oh, see, this is why we really got to invest in education, because your comprehension is moronic. Your compassion only extends to your approved people. It's not. I do not approve of the Arkansas soy boy farmers that voted for Trump and say they love Trump. I don't approve of them, but I have a lot of compassion for them. I don't want anyone to lose their home, especially working people. Rich people, fuck them. But the people, the farmers, the soy boy farmers in Arkansas, I got a lot of compassion. I always say, I think of their kids. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll understand what I talk about when I say I think of people's kids. Because their kids didn't vote for Trump. You know, their moronic parents did. And Donald Trump's a rich dude who protects other rich dudes, unless those rich dudes did him wrong. Then he's out for himself. And I have a lot of compassion for those people who are going to lose their farms, you know? And I don't want that to happen. Cadet Bone Spurs with 5 draft affirmings. James, the incredible thing about Cadet Bone Spurs right here is that his bone spurs only lasted during the length of Vietnam. Only. Haven't heard about it since. They were just there. But we really, because like, think about this, people. Japan, they're still capitalists, so they still have profit over people, but they at least believe in science and have universal health care, I'm pretty sure. And they've created a drug that lets humans regrow lost teeth naturally. Cuba has a vaccine for lung cancer. There's all these incredible things across the world that America can't have as long as its people are fine defending the status quo. And what the status quo is right now, and this guy perpetuates it, you know, he's just a rich kid who profits off the system and will do whatever to defend it. And even when he destroys some of it, he doesn't care. And I say, when institutions fail, you don't reform them, you replace them. So let's replace them. Let's replace them. You know, because you can't say this is the land of the free, but then, you know, say a woman can't choose to do what she wants with her body. You can't say that this is the land of the free when I say, what's free? Have you ever tried to get a procedure? You got to pay a company, an insurance company, every paycheck. And then when you go see the doctor, you got to pay him again and pay him out of pocket. And that's if they approve your procedure that the doctor says you need. Like I was saying earlier, we talked about it here when these insurance companies released a statement that their profit margins had shrunk, and that cost of expenses for medical things were going up. So they said, we need to cut back on unnecessary procedures. And I said, are you fucking crazy? Who in their right mind has gone to the doctor and the doctor's like, I know you don't need this, but we're going to give you 2 new knees. There is no such thing as unnecessary procedures in America. It's hard enough to get a necessary procedure. And somehow you guys aren't making 2 + 2 = 4. You guys are like, nope, I'm pretty sure it's 47. Bunch of morons. So we can all do this. Remember, that's why Americans usually say, we the people, by the people, for the people. Right now, this system doesn't work for anybody except for the corporate titans, the robber barons of modern day. And Donald Trump is one of them, a real estate baron who did nothing besides bad deals and failed companies. I mean, I'd have more respect to him if he was like, I know how to drive a company right into the ground. I bankrupted a casino. Then I would at least have some respect. But the fact that he pawns off his father's successes like his own just shows what a moron. And he's trying to, you know, convince you rubes. We understand, Don Case. Let's make sure we say your name, that you stand with Jeffrey Epstein. We know you do. We know you defend Epstein and Pedo Pan. We know. You don't need to say it all the time. We know you're a bot from Albania or Azerbaijan, or you're one of these simps that's like, sir, you just tell us, we'll be obedient in advance. We know. You have no backbone. You don't care about Americans. You're anti-American as elf. We know. Just like Just Dance Couch Vance said he wanted to serve Donald Trump. We know you want to serve Donald Trump. Probably got a no gag reflex and brag about it, okay? We know. He's like, you should see me on Thanksgiving. I eat corn the long way. We know, Don. We know. You got to stop it, okay, buddy? Calm yourself down. What I'm saying is, instead of, tearing down the White House with taxpayer money while planning to build I don't know how much this ballroom's going to cost. Who's going to use this ballroom? You understand that dude's 80 years old, right? You understand, remember when all you very smart people were like, I can't vote for Joe Biden because he's 100. He's so old. I'm going to vote for the guy who's just as old as him. Remember the auto pen thing? I think Joe Biden should have opened an auto pen gift shop at the White House. If we're going to go corruption, at least make it funny. If Donald Trump's going to sell a Bible with whatever, the Constitution, in it, at least make it hilarious. Well, it kind of is hilarious. People will buy that. But this dude's 80 years old. You really think he's using that ballroom? And I thought the only ballroom you maggots liked was the ballroom on Epstein Island. He doesn't use his own money for anything. Stop pretending like that dude spends his money on taxpayer stuff. He used our tax money to fly to Scotland to open up a private Trump course, a golf course. He used our taxpayer money. Why don't you Google how much money he spent on taxpayers just golfing this year? You guys are, sometimes you're so stupid it's almost adorable, Like, like you're sitting there waiting for me to pat you on the head. Like, oh, that's adorable. Look at this moron. Look at this adorable little moron. They're looking for something buried in the rose garden. Listen, PG, if that is the new plot to, what would it be, National Treasure 3 or 4? How many Nick Cage National Treasure movies are there? 3? 4? I don't know. I lost track after 1. 1 was too many. I'm just kidding. 1 is pretty good. I think that's the only Nick Cage movie I like. And I just recently watched Gone in 60 Seconds again. And my God, I don't know what was wrong with us in the 90s. We just had like a taste. Like we were connoisseurs for bad movies sometimes. 3? Really, Mary? There's 3 National Treasures. I find that hard to believe, but I believe you. Old Dick Cranium. You're supposed to take advice from a guy who can't properly grow a beard. I don't think you should take advice from Pete Hegseth. He also gets Botox. Did you see that? I know you're Dick Cranium. Do people call you Dick, Richard? Dick Cranium? Don't take advice from Pete Hegseth, okay? Because not only can he not grow a beard, that's why he demanded the military not grow a beard, but he gets Botox. Did you know that? Isn't that hilarious? All your tough guy heroes wear orange makeup, get hair implants, get Botox. It's what some of us men call gender-affirming care. Elon Musk got gender-affirming care. Orange Trump, what's his name? Oh, Duck Trump? Donald. What a stupid fucking name. He wears orange makeup. That's gender-affirming care. He wears orange makeup. How bad did your dad not love you for you to have to grow up and wear orange makeup? Let's just all think about that for a second. This dude wakes up in the morning and fucking powders his face. Holy shit. Oh my God. But anyways, National Treasure, that's crazy that there's a 3rd. I'm going to have to watch 2 and 3. But PG, like you said, they're digging up the Rose Garden looking for something. You think it's Hoffa? You think it's Jimmy Hoffa? I would think that's a good plot to National Treasure 3. And right now is a prime time. Nick Cage, why aren't you pitching National Treasure 4? Good morning, Sonia. Hunter powders his nose. Yeah, he did. He's clean and sober now. Unlike little Dick Jr. What's his name? Dick Trump Jr.? What's his name? Don Jr. Oh, he has the same stupid name as his dad. Don Jr., that dude, what is he? What is he doing? The Colombian the old Colombian snow party. You know what I'm saying? Don or Eric, both. Both. Yeah, Alma was a drug addict, didn't hold a government job. Oh, God, these people are so stupid. I don't have a side. I need to make this clear. I'm not a Democrat. And in fact, what I'm telling people is I know this is like big language. I know I'm going to say a long sentence. When institutions fail, you don't reform them, you replace them. So what I'm saying is, if we elected all blue, you wouldn't get universal health care. In fact, Obamacare used to be Romney Care. We got a Democrat who implemented the Heritage Foundation's ACA. The Affordable Care Act is a Heritage Foundation brainchild. Obamacare, that everybody hates, is a Republican healthcare plan. And then the MAGA healthcare plan, Donald Trump's concept of the healthcare plan, is to kick people off of healthcare, to make more than the 65,000 Americans die every year. His concept of a plan was to make more people die every year in America. You're anti-American if you want more Americans dying from lack of access to healthcare. It's as simple as that. And you're doing it all in the name of Epstein's best friend, which is fucking beyond me. But what I'm trying to make people understand is take off your little MAGA hat, Don't worry, the sun won't hurt your brain. And don't subscribe to the other establishment. But we, the people, can reject it and say, we're going to make a new system with all these things. Okay? That's that 7 million strong No Kings movement continuing into our daily lives. Continuing to remember that before there was America, there was no game plan for what this would be. That's why people treasure the founding fathers, or at least you hear them play the lip service to it. Because this great experiment doesn't have to be what it once was. We don't have to have capitalism basically made whoever had the most money could buy out everybody else and make all the rules, and that's not working for most of us. I'd say 99% of us. J666, good to see you. 10 cents a day, and you too can support an American. Much love to you. Thank you for the super chat. There are so many stupid people. I want to read this comment because this is probably, I hope it's not an American, but the American South is very dumb. Probably an Oklahoman. And that's not offensive to the other Oklahomans that, read and stuff. But Oklahoma's the worst in the country for education. This guy says Antifa are the fascists. Literally saying the anti-fascists are the fascists. It's, that's why here on the live stream, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. We had to create a new word, sad-hilarious, because these people really, really are hilarious, but it's a very sad hilarious. Please use Google. It's free. Look up fascists. They might, hurt themselves trying to get on a computer. Might sprain their brain. Jamie, your ideas are great, but I don't see how it could ever happen. People in power have too much power for us to do anything worthwhile to their positions. Jamie, this is where I would encourage you to not see how it's going to happen, but to figure out little ways that we can change everything. I'd like to think that when the revolution started, well, not that I'd like to think, when the revolution started, like New York was one, when they were calling the Continental Congress, there was New York that was against going to war. Remember, at the time, the British had the greatest, fleet, armada? I don't know what you call it. They had ships, and lots of them. So when this country was founded, we were going against the colonizer of the world, They owned everything. They had the ships, they had the manpower, they could do whatever. And they were told they would crush this rebellion easily, day one. And instead of playing the game like it's always been played, Jamie, the colonists got creative. And you could look through history at many different times. Like I referenced before, the guy who's told sliced bread will always be cold. And he was like, fuck that, I'm creating the toaster. I want this bread warm and toasty. And I want my butter to melt. You know, he didn't take no for an answer. And that's really what it is about. It's not about going, here's the plan forward and we have a great vision. It's about going, a woman should have the right to fucking choose in a country that says we're the land of the free. That's like a no-brainer, you know? It's like the dude who said anti-fascists are the fascists. It's like we were just buying into stupidity and we've become normalized to it. And I'm telling you to refuse the normalization of this moronic empire. And what we do is we go, if you're going to say this is the land of the free, then clearly women's bodies are their own to do what they wish. Right? Healthcare is a human right. But because corporations are pulling the strings on the puppets that they have bought and paid for as our politicians and the media that they own, we are constantly being normalized to think this is okay, this is natural, this is all right, don't worry, don't worry. It's just like him putting the private police on our streets to kidnap people is to desensitize you to that violence being common everyday occurrences, because soon it will be turned on you. But what I'm saying is, let's think out of the box. Let's look at other countries and how they implemented the way to guarantee human healthcare as a human right. Let's look at what other countries have done, just like the people who started this country. They looked to other places. Let's get creative. I don't have all the ideas, but here's the thing. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. I go live every single weekday and sometimes on the weekends. And we keep coming up with ideas. We keep spreading the word. We keep pushing for it. Because here's the thing. Armada is the Spanish word for fleet. Well, I thank you. And El Nino is the Spanish word for the Nino. Appreciate you, James, for that. But the thing is right now, you can see it in the comments, and probably a lot of bots, but the media is paid for by who? The billionaires. The 1% buy up all the assets. They have money for days. I mean, think about it. When we're like, we tax millionaires here in Massachusetts and society got better. But when America talks about taxing billionaires, they freak out. And I always say, well, if they can't live off of $999 million, if they can't be taxed and they're billionaires, maybe they're living outside of their means. And you'll never hear that on mainstream media. You'll hear, oh, they'll leave. Who gives a shit? Let them leave. They're driving the home prices up. They're buying everything. We have corporate landlords. Let them fucking leave. We can do it without them. You know, for all these people like job creators, they create shitty jobs. Jeff Bezos, one of the richest men in the world, makes his employees pee in bottles. Not a good job. Hate to break it to you. Do you know anyone that works for Amazon? Not the happiest crew. So what I'm trying to say is, find what you're good at. If you're good at solving problems, Jamie, if you're good at knowing history, Jamie, that's a key. And figure out, there's little ways. I shared 2 videos down below. One is the Majority Report, where they interviewed David Sirota, who I absolutely love his writings and the stuff he's done. He was a Bernie Sanders speechwriter. And I shared a video by Tad Stormer, who is a university professor, but also a historian of resistance history. And he gives important lessons in these little 8, 10, 15-minute videos. I shared those 2 videos because, like Tupac once said, I'm not saying I'm going to be the change in the world, but I might spark the mind that does. And just like Tupac believed that it was his duty as a poet, actor, as a rapper, as a celebrity to inspire and help spark creativity in the world, like he was a muse for others as well as an artist. That is also one of our jobs, to speak out when you see all these MAGAs saying, I mean, they're just so dumb, Like, America is not better than it was last year, and it's only going to get worse. We didn't have the National Guard, private, a political police force. We didn't have trade cut off from all the world. We weren't starting fights with allies. I mean, there's just basic shit, And these people are so loud, because they're confidently stupid. And when you're confidently stupid, I mean, I've had confidently stupid people here all the time. And this is the other thing I hear about open borders. Bro, I've crossed both borders in America. I lived on one of the borders. We've never had a fucking open border. You're a moron. I'm so tired of that. I'm so tired of these people in the middle of the country complaining about open borders. Have you ever, go look up San Ysidro border traffic. There is no open border. You know where there is an open border? I'll tell you this. If you want to go into Mexico from San Ysidro, or I think it's San Ysidro, there's just a big turnstile gate. You just walk right the fuck in. That's an open border. Just like if you're going into Canada, they will yank you out of the car. Or if you're coming back here. I mean, there's just no open border. And this is what I mean. It's like people who have never lived life outside their small town think they remind me of Joe Rogan, Polio Rogan, because he's so dumb. He sees stuff on the internet that's clearly marked parody, and he thinks it's real life, and he gets scared. Oh, this was what, because he lives in a bubble. And that's what I'm done doing. I've lived across this fucking country. I've visited different continent or whatever, different countries. I've seen and met a ton of people, and I'm fucking tired of hearing people who've stayed in the same goddamn town their entire life tell me they saw something on the news or heard something and that's how it is. I'm like, I've crossed that fucking border, and trust me, when I was coming back into America, it would have been awesome if it was open. It would have been awesome, but it's not. It hasn't been. And it never was, and it never fucking will be. And we're tired of hearing you say that. What I'd like you to focus on is the shitty jobs Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos provide to Americans, so shitty that the Walmart heirs are the biggest welfare queens. Their employees have to have government welfare because they don't pay. Meanwhile, they have fucking yachts and they did nothing. They were just born rich. And you don't complain about that at all. And that would do so much better for our country than if fucking, I don't know, the not open borders weren't not open. Like, you're just moron. And this is what I mean. You know, this is what I'm talking about. These people are so confidently stupid that part of our job is to fucking say, no, we understand Tim Pool and Joe Rogan, who live in bubbles in the center of the country, Austin, fucking West Virginia, whatever, saw something and told you that it was true, but you're dumb. You're dumb. And we have to start telling people they're dumb, because the ironicness of these people hating everyone gets a trophy is they never want to be wrong. And they think, well, I saw it, I felt it, so it can't be. And it's like, no, you're dumb. So, Jamie, I hope that answers your question. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm Rob, and we're going to get this shit done. Like I said, man, I know MAGA really thinks, like, because when they say shit, they mean it selfishly, but this applies to everybody. Red or blue, take your fucking hat off. This is for we the people. We the people, the 99%. We are going to make this happen for the people. No more considering calling Uber instead of an ambulance. No fucking more. You will have free healthcare, and that free is actually paid for by billionaires' taxes. They've had it easy for too long. Most of them were born into wealth and then convinced you that they worked really hard. No one can earn $1 billion. Hate to break it to you. Hate to be the one. But we're going to make this fucking country work for the working people. All right? That's what we're going to do. And I'm sick of you freaking pedo pan supporters, you Epstein supporting chodes, you absolute obedient in advance simps, thinking that your loudness, your confidence is intelligence. It's not. Just like wealth isn't intelligence. Just look at Donald Trump. Got fucking hit with the stupid stick all the way down that tree. But you guys, for the rest of us, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Much love, be kind, and love your neighbor unselfishly. Do as Jesus did. Even if you don't think he's God. He's God to me. But still, he lived a radical life. So you can't go wrong treating people like Jesus did, you know. I still can't walk on water.